Redditors who get out of bed right away in the morning, how do you just get up and not hit snooze repeatedly? It comes naturally for the most part. I go to bed and wake up at the same time nearly every day. Also, I have 2 dogs trained to expect the schedule, so if I don't get up early on my own, there will be a dog standing on my chest. I wake up at 7 a.m. every day of my life. Regardless of whether it's a work day, weekend, whatever. I always set an alarm when I need to be up for work, but I wake naturally at 6:50 and wait for my alarm to go off. Recently I haven't bothered with my alarm and just get up at 7 a.m. without an alarm and feel ready and awake. Daylight saving time always wrecks me though. Same here, it's a blessing and a curse really, especially after a night out, because I lose a ton of sleep. I think that's part of the reason why I'm reluctant to go places at night. Because come 7 a.m. I'm up and ready. And now extremely tired. Yet no matter how tired I get, I just can't nap during the day to make up for it either. That considered, I still think I've got the better end of the bargain than being an alarm, snooze, sleep, snooze, repeat person. My time shifts with sunrise. Earlier sun, earlier awake. If I sleep with blackout blinds I sleep in, but it does something awful to my brain. I only use the snooze button for napping, but even then that's usually not to sleep but to procrastinate before I do whatever I had to get up to do. You'd think so, but some dogs, like my own little girl, like to sleep in just as much as humans. I have to kick mine out of bed some mornings. My BF went to walk my dog, he and I are neighbors, before he went to work this morning as I had to work overnight and wouldn't be home till a bit later. This means 6 a.m. BC he has to be at work at 7 a.m. BF calls me on his way to work to explain to me that he didn't walk my dog BC, he refused to get out of bed that earlier and growled. Vladimir sleeps from 11 p.m. to 9 a.m. Any deviations make him grumpy for a bit. I have 2 of them. One will literally stand on my chest and look me in the face until I get out of bed. The other one touches his cold nose against my hand, arm, or the small of my back if I'm side sleeping. I started working out at 5:30 a.m. every morning for about a year during the USA lockdowns. Then a few months ago I decided to stop for some reason, but my dogs decided they still want to pee at 5:30, therefore they wake me up now. Lol. No. You are doing it wrong. You carefully calculate when you need to get up, set your alarm for then, and get straight out of bed as soon as it rings. Stop the torture of longing to stay in bed when you know you need to get up, and just bite the bullet. That way you can maximize your sleeping time, and be much happier and more productive. It's just a good habit to adopt, and it gets easier and easier the more you do it. I use it like a deadline for writing a paper. Just because I had 2 weeks doesn't mean I'm not doing it until the night before. So use my procrastinating as an advantage. I set the alarm for the last possible minute I can wake up, and then I don't have a choice. I also get the most sleep. Long before my husband retired, he made generous use of the snooze. Since he was hard of hearing, it was loud. One morning, I reached out and turned it off. From that morning on I taught myself to wake myself up at a particular time so that I could wake him. I did this for years and years, even when I got my own job and had to wake at 4:30 a.m. Anything to avoid hearing to snooze. The problem is if I have it far away I risk not being able to hear it. Now I literally have my phone next to my head on my pillow. Doesn't solve the snoozing problem, but at least I give myself a fighting chance at waking up at all. Also, I had a dorm roommate in college who used snooze repeatedly, when I was still sleeping. I nearly killed him. I was roommates with a dude who was a walk-on the football team my sophomore year in college. He was the exact same, except he had to make it to early morning practices / weightlifting or WE, so he set his first alarm for like 4 a.m. and proceeded to snooze for the next hour before finally getting out of bed and blasting his music while he showered / shaved. If it weren't for the fact that he was twice as big as me, I probably would have killed him too. Working from home has really brought into light how incredibly unnecessary that sort of punctuality is. Unless you have a meeting at 9:15, it seems pointless. We often work during lunches and past 6 p.m., more than enough to cover our time loss, and I just wonder if it's a vestige from old expectations at this point. Edit. Okay, I guess I have to actually specify this, but obviously if your job relies on punctuality directly, this doesn't apply. Christ. My boss expects me to be logged in at 9 a.m. when working from home, but I log off exactly at 5. I had shit pending last night that I should have done, but I ran out of time, so I sent myself the info and did it today from the office. If I could be flexible on my start time, I'd be flexible on my leave time. I refuse to put my email on my personal phone and only have access when I'm logged in. I feel this one. I've done reception backup for several years at my office, and we used to have a primary receptionist who was late or out at least once a week, if not more. She'd get sick all the time and be out for multiple days or come in late, all while living literally down the street within walking distance, and would take insanely long breaks. It drove the rest of us who had to fill in absolutely crazy BC of all the positions in that building. Hers was the one that needed to be filled Monday to Friday, 8 to 5, no exceptions, and it messed up all of our schedules to keep covering. It was honestly a relief when she up and left and they got somebody who is absolutely wonderful and super punctual. I tip my hat to full-time receptionists. BC being locked in that chair all day is rough. For me it's not about that. If I don't have multiple alarms set, I will be late for work/sleep so late it's a no-show. I've lost jobs before because of it. I also sleep very deep enough that I didn't wake up when a 5.2 earthquake hit as I was sleeping on the top bunk of a bunk bed on the second floor or the house. Apparently it was slamming into the wall loud enough they heard it in other parts of the house. That being said, you don't have to jump into it like Op did. When I was in the middle of a bad depressive spell, out of it now, due to ADHD, that one hasn't gone away lol, my therapist essentially told me, keep breaking it down until it's something you're confident you can do, regardless of how dumb that one little thing seems. That ended up applying to a lot more than just waking up, but waking up and just getting out of bed was the biggest initial hurdle to clear at the time. So I broke it down to a level I thought I could do. Get up out of bed as soon as your alarm goes off, walk to the bathroom, and then it's up to you. After 5 days, I realized that even that was too much for myself at the time, and scaled back again. Stand up out of bed when your alarm goes off. Also apparently too difficult for me at the time. So I scaled it back to something that seemed so ridiculously simple that there was no way I could fail. When my alarm went off, just sit up in bed before I hit snooze and lay back down. That was apparently the lowest level I had to go to, because I nailed that for 14 days straight without failing to do it. After that, I made similarly tiny steps to add to it. Next was sit up and move your feet out from under the covers so you're sitting on the edge of the bed with your feet on the floor, which I also did for about a week. Next was stand up once your feet hit the floor, also another week or so, and after that was stand up and walk to the bathroom door, etc. etc. To be completely honest, once I hit stand up, I was probably about 90% of the way there in terms of being ready to say yeah I'm up and just go through the rest of my morning routine. Even when going through the practice phases, once I got to sitting on the edge of the bed with my feet on the floor, I had probably a 70% success rate of just standing up afterwards anyways. At this point I can still sleep and sleep if I want to, but if I've set an alarm, at the very least I'll find myself sitting on the edge of the bed within seconds and without really consciously thinking about it. It just took like a month of slowly working my way there, haha. And most people that aren't trying to do this while depressed or in the middle of building new routines BC of ADHD can probably do it way faster. I was conditioned that way growing up. If you weren't up, dressed, and out of your room within 5 minutes of the alarm, yes, we had them in grade school, the punishment was horrendous. It still makes me shudder just thinking about it. My mother would come in the room singing. The sound alone would peel the skin from your ears. Cats died hearing it, planes crashed and milk curdled. Her singing is the sole reason Earth has not been invaded. To this day, decades later, if the alarm goes off, and I doze, I will wake up in a cold sweat dreading the sound I fear is coming. Mom passed 30 years ago. But I am sure she will still pay me a visit to wake me if I oversleep. Do something else before all the bullshit. Make time for one round of some game, or a little reading, or whatever. I find that when I lie in bed way too long, what I'm actually doing is procrastinating doing all the morning stuff. Showering, shaving, getting dressed, making coffee, etc. It's work, don't pretend it isn't. So when getting out of bed means you get to do something you actually want to do, it gets a lot easier in my experience. This is what I do. I set my alarm so I have time for a quick 30 minutes cardio workout. It's an elliptical before anyone thinks I run down the road at 6 a.m., take a shower, do my hygiene stuff, and then play a quick round or two of whatever video game I am currently trying to beat. It makes me less likely to want to kill all my coworkers too, as I usually arrive to work in a better mood than my old way of doing things: wake up, shower and leave for work. For me it's a denial thing. When I'm in that state all I can think about is that it's 5 more minutes I don't have to think about going to work and facing all the bullshit that day. And when I've just woken up, my brain isn't functional yet, I can never remind myself that this behavior only makes things worse. All I can feel is the urge to go back to bed and hide for another 5 minutes. So I set several alarms including kitchen appliances spaced throughout the house over a time span of 5 minutes to force me to get out of bed and go shut them all off, and usually by the time I'm done with it I'm thinking normally again and able to remind myself of work, responsibilities, etc. How do you lay in bed and hit snooze over and over? Why even set an alarm? Because the moment I wake up is the worst feeling I live with. I am dizzy, off balance, I can't see well and I want to be dead. Laying there for a bit helps ease all of this. It had to become part of the wake-up process. Why set an alarm? Because I had shit to do. How do you lay in bed and hit snooze over and over? Why even set an alarm? Because the moment I wake up is the worst feeling I live with. I am dizzy, off balance, I can't see well and I want to be dead. Yeah, that's why I would hate to go through that multiple times a morning. This is why I'm convinced this shit is genetic. Same, I don't think I have ever felt what you described, or if I did, it was only when I was a young child. I am not even sure about that though. I have always been one who wanted to stay up, not get up, even when I didn't stay up. Yeah. I want everyone in the world to stop talking to me by 8 p.m. on workdays. I'm done. Half asleep. And there doesn't seem to be anything I can do about it.